Catherine is crowned officially Empress in Moscow. She's the HBIC of all of Russia, which I think stands for head bitch in charge of all the Russians.
It does. What do you mean you think that?
Well, because I just got the acronym. I don't have what it stands for.
It definitely means head bitch in charge. It's funny to me that one of the sources you used, that they used an acronym like HBIC. I just assumed that you would have termed it that way. And that made it even funnier to me that you then later forgot.
Is a female leader or authority figure. She has gone from being HBIC.
Yeah. Where are you reading that? What's up, airheads? Welcome back. It's time once again for Putting on Air's fancy show. Dumb people. That's what we do here. It's a special show this week. CHO figured out. I would not have ever thought to put it together because mostly I'm focused on pranks and lies and tricks and jokes at this time of year. I'm a big practitioner and believer in April Fool's Day. I'm kidding. I think it's stupid. But
the worst holiday ever.
We did debut this show on April Fool's Day appropriately since we're both very foolish boys.
Idiots.
3 years ago. In the year of our fake Lord, 2022, April 1st, which means it's our 3-year anniversary. How about that? Toddling around, pooping our pants, doing all kinds of fun stuff over here at POA. Trying not to choke on grapes. These are all things 3-year-olds do.
I have almost choked on grape candy in front of you several times.
Yep.
Hey, we joke, but it is quite the accomplishment. I mean, I think they say that the average podcast literally makes it one episode. That's about it.
That's probably true. It's and I'm not trying to look my hair back here. It's pissed me off. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to piss you off.
You look great. I was going to say, I love that you've shaved into the stash. You're really handsome right now. You look like, it's almost like I don't know what it is on the rumor mill, but Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom now, and I know that they're bringing a lot of, with the multiverse in the MCU, they can do whatever they want. Are they casting for a new Iron Man, and they're going the hillbilly trash route?
No, never. That would never happen. They'd summarily dismiss the very notion of even allowing me in the building. But I appreciate your compliment. What was before that? Before you said that I hit?
I said most podcasts don't even make it one episode.
It's one of those things where it's all podcast stats are skewed so horribly by the fact that every American is legally required by law to at least start a podcast at this point. Meaning it's people, when they say it's if your podcast makes any money at all, it's in the top 1% of podcasts worldwide. And it's but that's
because billions have failed.
Yeah, and they do so every day. And yes, it also counts the ones where people. And what really sucks about that is whenever you're coming up with a podcast, and you want a name for something, and you go to look it up, so often it does technically exist, but it's some unlistenable garbage that either is completely defunct or barely even posted anymore, or whatever. But it's technically they have the name, and it's just annoying. But podcasts, navigating these podcast waters has been fun. I do like podcasts, and I really do. A lot of people bitch about it, but I like doing it.
I'm not going to say what the name is right now because I don't want to get any press so that there's so some bullshit could happen. But I have a similar thing happening where I have a great name for a new podcast idea, and it exists. And they did 5 episodes and haven't put one out since 2017. And I'm just going to call them and be hey guys, I'm going to do this. Can I do this? Do you need me to buy you out? But also because the bad thing about it is you'd have to convince them to take theirs off of the, get rid of those episodes, because then when someone searches for it, theirs pops up and they're this don't hit. But it's an unfortunate thing. But I am proud of us because, we stick with it. I mean, I've had one podcast that I didn't stick with, and that was Through the Screen Door, even though I'm in some capacity attempting to bring it back. But hell, even we made it 2 years, and the only reason that we had to quit is because my co-host almost ate his fat ass to death and then fucked his neck up. So, I mean, wasn't my fault. I think we should be proud. We bring joy to people's lives every week. And that's something to be admired and be proud of.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I run into people for whom we hit all the time. Or actually, I wanted to shout this guy out anyway because first of all, I was going to say I did this thing with Al Madrigal the other day, and he was talking about what we were just talking about with podcast names, and he was just like, he literally was just like, "You just fucking do it," you know. But you're right about like, I mean, you're right about it's still a problem because people Google it and they find that bullshit instead of your bullshit, and so that still don't hit. But anyway, at that thing that I was doing, the guy who was photographing it came up to me. Very well put together black man, probably about our age. He came up and said that he was a big fan
or
of
70.
mine.
You never know, and that's positive racism.
Well, that is true. That is true. Yeah, you're right. They say often that it don't crack.
It don't crack.
The black don't be cracking.
Ernie Hudson is like 80 years old and can play
looks
James
incredible
Bond right now. It's unbelievable.
He's one of the more wild examples of that's out there. Yeah, he looks fucking great and is ancient. But anyway, the guy came up to me and said he was a big fan, and he was like, "If you don't mind, I got something I want to give you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I had no idea what it was going to be. But he comes back. His name's Carell Augustus. He's originally from South Carolina, which is part of why we hit for him. But look at this here. He comes back with this. You see that?
Wonderful.
Black Hollywood reimagining iconic movie moments. I said he's a photographer. He took all these pictures, and the general idea of this is he reimagines iconic Hollywood moments with black entertainers, celebrities, entertainers, and it's wild. Yeah, yes. The other side would call this the DEI Hollywood. Is that what you mean?
Right,
Good Lord. Right. But anyway,
even though it super hits,
you'll never believe this. It's very cool. and I would say arguably cooler than the white people versions. It's funny how that works.
Well, aside from the Jack Nicholson one, like the Jack Nicholson one down there is cool, but it's harder to be cooler than Jack Nicholson coming through the door in The Shining.
By the way, this is Vanessa Williams as Cleopatra.
Oh, I love that.
Look, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and that's probably truer, actually, to Cleopatra.
Well, actually, so this came up recently. I don't know if this is going to hit for Carell if he sees this segment that we divert this way, but you know, this came up recently. Did you hear him say about all that? Talking about woke Hollywood and all that stuff. There was an argument over this exact subject. Did you see any of it? Well, it wasn't aided by the fact that I believe it was Jada Pinkett Smith's production company
Red Table.
I guess, but they made a show for Netflix about Cleopatra, and it was a black actress, right? And people were like, that's bullshit. People meaning like people that get pissed off about things like that on the internet were like, that's bullshit. Cleopatra was Macedonian, which is to say Greek. She was from the line of the Greeks like conquered Egypt and they ruled there, and she was from that. So she was Greek, which means Cleopatra was actually historically she was white, even though Egypt is in Africa. She was a white lady. Yeah, right. Whatever Greek is
closer to black than Elizabeth Taylor is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, all of these, I don't know if they literally all are, but most of these are based on, iconic white characters that he's recast.
Click on that Back to the Future one.
Black to the Future. I don't know why it's smaller than the rest of them, but no, but
I like that.
I just don't know how.
That would have been a wildly different movie if Marty had been black. That would have worked out for him as well.
1955. That's a very good point. Like, literally, how did he do that? Like,
I don't know.
Did he bring? If you're only listening, it's a King Kong reproduction with the lady. What's her name? What's the woman's name in King Kong?
The original.
Yeah, like what's
the son of a bitch?
I keep wanting to say Jane because I'm mixing King Kong up with Tarzan, which is funny. Or maybe that. Maybe it's Jane Goodall. I can't remember. But anyway, the lady from King Kong, she's sitting in his hand. What's like? Did he make a damn gorilla hand?
Yeah,
or commission a gorilla hand? Or is that faked? I know you can fake like the New York background or whatever, but like it looks like she's sitting in something. It's like the production value. I just wasn't. I mean, I could tell it was a very legit book when I opened it up, but the production value of it, I was not expecting. And I'm like, how do you even pull some of this shit off? And that King Kong one is a good example. But here's a classy one for you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is that's Singing in the Rain?
Yes, and then here's I'm gonna quit sharing and show one that's not on the internet. That's on the page here. This was example what I mean, just how much Nicolas Cage and John Travolta are very cool, obviously, but he's got
Did they
Aldous
roll?
and Edwin Hodge as Face Off.
Fay
Right?
Ray, by the way, is her name.
No, but that's the actress name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean the character in the movie, King Kong, and
Ew.
anyway, like it's just look how much cooler those dudes are.
Oh, amazingly,
It's all I'm
amazingly.
saying.
Like I can't
They
like
just look rad. It's a cool book. I recommend it. He's a cool guy.
and Darrow.
Yes, and Darrow. That's it.
I can't like I don't know how to like we all know black people being cooler than us is one of those things that everyone knows. Like even some hard like I know some racists who would still be like, man, they're way cooler than us. Like, but it's one of those things where we all know it, but I can't explain why, and it just kind of is, you know.
Yeah. Everything they ever wear, they just look better in. Like if you like those two black guys I just showed you are wearing suits,
Right.
and they look better than if you had two white dudes in suits. But
Well,
also
melanin.
they can wear wild shit that white.
Yeah.
And I know you have lived experience with this. You do your best. You pull off some wild shit sometimes, but most white people can't pull off the type of wild shit that black people routinely pull off all the time, and it's just an unquestioned fact. And I don't know if it's just confidence or, like you said, maybe it's melanin, just skin tones are different.
It's definitely confidence, and because the only reason I pull it off is because I'm goofy, and people go like, "Oh yeah, he's got he don't mind doing that, like he's a clown or whatever." Like I don't look as cool as if like I was standing next to Nick Cannon or whatever, but like melanin has something to do with it because like there was Vince McMahon wouldn't even let you go on TV if you didn't have a tan, like, and Arn Anderson's
isn't that a muscles thing? Because I know in like the bodybuilding world,
it shows your
in the
definition
bodybuilding world, they do, because Katie used to do that, not female bodybuilding, but figure competition is what they call it, which is like, it's the woman version of bodybuilding that isn't the huge jacked kind. It's the ones where they just try to get super toned and have abs and all this shit. Katie used to do that. And I would go with her to these events and stuff. And so I know that, like, dude, would you see them like in person in just like a lobby or whatever? They look crazy. Truly insane. Because the amount of bronzer, like the layers of caked on fucking bronzer and spray tan and shit that they put on, because something about it shows your definition better or whatever. So that's probably why he wants wrestlers to be tanned, I would assume, right? It shows it just makes their muscles hit harder or appear to hit harder.
Yeah, without question. Have you seen the
milky white skin just don't hit? Don't nobody want to see this, because some wrestlers are big old fat boys, but it's like you don't even want a pasty fat boy. They ought to make us all tan at least a little bit. I know it's going to give us cancer and die one day, but we'd look better beforehand.
Have you seen this the meme where they were talking about how male bodybuilders look like tiny men wearing muscle costumes?
Mm-mm.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up.
No, I have
this is
not.
really funny. This is really funny, and it's so true, and you will never not see it. And it's because of how unnatural and big they make. Hold on. Okay, let me share this video. That you will never not see it again when you see this. It's hilarious. Can you see this?
Yeah, it's coming up. Okay,
let me know if you can hear it.
Bodybuilders look like little guys trapped in big man costumes in a month. And I am still getting dozens and dozens of comments talking about how they cannot unsee this. I did not realize that y'all did not know this before I made the video. I thought this was something that all of y'all already knew. I've been seeing this for years. Other people talk about it for years. When I did not expect it to blow up the way it did. It got over 28 million views and thousands of comments saying how I've
seen that exact guy.
I did not realize that I was. Pretty much any bodybuilder,
but look at it. It really does.
Going to have this type of illusion, as you can see with this guy above, Rubio Mascara. He's got crazy traps that make him look like a little dude trapped in a big man costume, when in reality, that's just his body, which is crazy.
Dude,
That
is
pretty much impossible to unsee.
Their
Almost every
traps
bodybuilder
get
with
so
big traps
fucking
is gonna have
big
this type of illusion.
that it looks like
their traps get so fucking big that
it looks like
it
that's
looks
the
like their
entire
shoulders.
width of a person that is dropped down into like a bodybuilder suit.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You literally can't not see it now. Like, it's insane. Also, the tanner you are, the whiter your teeth look, the slimmer you are. Because, like, Arn Anderson said, tan fat looks better than, than not
Pasty
tan fat,
milk fat,
pasty fat. And that's true. Like, during the summer,
fat.
when I've got a little tan on, I'm less self-conscious about my like belly and stuff, because it does reduce inches somehow.
It's funny. It's another classic trick by God, classic God move. Is it's like, this would objectively improve your outward appearance and the way other people experience you, but it also will kill you dead.
Yes.
So
yes,
so don't do too much of it. Either die young or go around not hitting. That's kind of the name of the game for me. That's what that's how I've designed everything to be. Either die young or go around not hitting. That's how I want the world to exist.
And it's almost like God made black people first, and he made them like way too fucking cool, and he realized he fucked up. He was like, oh man, that's...
If you believe in God,
like,
no, that's not true.
What?
I guess if you believe in God, but that would be believing in God and science at the same time, which some people do. But I mean, objectively speaking, black people came first. Like we know that to be true.
Right. So
I would say if you believe God invented people, that means he had to have invented black people first. But the people who acknowledge that black people came first also generally are not the people who believe that God created people in the first place.
Accurate. But it's almost like God, since he invented black people first, he realized like he made them have the best skin. Like they don't age as much, they're faster, they're cooler, they're all these things. And then he was like, fuck, I got to make it hard on them. You know what I mean? I got to make it hard on these people. They can't have everything. It's like, Big Ed used to have that joke. I've told you a million times, but I love it, where he says that because oftentimes dumb people have really big dicks.
Mm-hmm. It's a known thing.
It's a known thing. And he said, I think it's because your dick and your brain are made out of the same stuff. And so sometimes God, if he makes you with a big dick, he don't have enough materials left over to make your brain. But if he starts with the brain and makes you too smart, he don't have enough material left over for a dick, So it's, it could be one of them things.
I wonder if Stephen Hawking was packing heat. He was getting down. He was filthy. He was on Epstein's Island all the time and messing around with dwarfs and stuff. We should have asked Brad about that last week. Wasn't that a part of his thing? He specifically he liked dwarfs, didn't he?
Yeah, 13, like younger 13, make her 13, make her be young. Well, he was on Epstein's Island. That's what they were doing.
I don't know that was. Those were the only wares that were peddled on Epstein's Island. I mean, maybe they were.
That's true.
It's like,
that's true.
It's like, because I know that, we've talked about before, like, a lot of dudes went there. Well, I don't know. Like Chris Tucker went there with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey, right? And it's like 2 out of those 3 is making the other one look pretty rough by association.
Well, and he only went once,
But it's like, it's a rich, powerful people that go to an island and party, and that, and you get there and it's wild shit happening, but it don't mean you could be like, oh no, thank you, I'm good, when they offer you the underaged booty hole,
and then
when they pass that underage booty hole buffet, and you can just say like, thank you very much, but I'm okay. I'm actually fine. And then and so
also everyone's like
something.
Everyone's like, every single person on that list should be executed. And I'm like, listen, I've never been at that height of Hollywood and stuff, but like I can tell you firsthand how easy it would be to get in the situation where you go to that island. Like, for instance, I've used the example. We took a picture with Ron Jeremy. Like he came to our show. We didn't know about none of all we knew was legendary porn star Ron Jeremy came to our show and enjoyed it. We took a picture with him, posted it, and then immediately people are like, he's been accused of raping 13 different women. We're like, we didn't know, what the fuck. So like you're Chris Tucker.
Well,
you're
What we also
What?
knew that night was that he was an absolute fucking train wreck, by the way. So we can at least throw that out there.
Yeah, but
but that's very different. We didn't know
that's
anything about the
legal to
race.
be.
I'm just saying, just so people
Yeah.
know, it's like he was a fucking
He was
mess,
out of his
dog.
goddamn mind, son.
I don't know how he was out and about walking around in the world.
Me either.
He was barely there. Like he was barely even cognizant of being alive. No, it's not.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying he was stanky and gross and all fucked up.
Oh God, he smelled exactly
weird.
like how he was wearing a velour suit, and velour shows stains. You know what I'm saying? But like my point is, like me and like you're at a party, you're Chris Tucker, you're famous, and you're doing a show in New York, and someone's like, "Hey, we're going to this mansion." Oh, whose place is it? He's this financier and whatever. That's all you hear. You're like, "Yeah, I'll go to the mansion. So and so's going to be there." Whatever. You don't ask fucking questions. You just go to the mansion. Then you're there hanging out, and he's like, "Hey, if you're around tomorrow, we're going to a private island on my jet." You just say yes, because everybody else is doing it, you know? So my point is, just because your name's on that log once don't mean you did some nefarious shit. I understand how a person gets put in that situation. Now, if you're on that log like 5, 10, 15 something times, like a little questionable, but like, you know, I get wrong place, wrong time. I don't know how we got on. Oh, we was talking about dwarves, right?
Sure. Is that really how we got there? Well, no,
Stephen Hawking.
You said
Stephen
brains
Hawking.
and dicks, and I said Stephen Hawking might have been packing heat. You don't know. Oh, he liked to fuck dwarves. Oh, he went to Epstein's Island, and then there you have it.
Did you know there's this whole thing of like, because I think dwarves. I'll be watching dwarves, like they got them big butts, you know, and they're cute and they're hot. And also they're 30, 40 years old. But some people talk about how like, if you watch dwarf porn or if you sign up to an OnlyFans with a dwarf, then really it just means you're a pedophile.
Absolute nonsense.
Because they're like, you want it to be a child. Thing. And
that's
it's like
insane.
But it goes back to what Brad was saying. It's like, so we just can't do anything. Like we just can't do anything.
Dwarves, we all know what we all are aware of dwarves and what they are, and we know that they're not. You can see a dwarf child, and you know that's a child dwarf versus that's an adult dwarf. We know that a dwarf is not a child. The child part of it is the thing for pedophiles.
Right.
So a dwarf it's not just because they're small, like it's not remotely the same thing. There's a girl who's like famous on the internet. I mean, I'm sure there's more than one person like this, but she's
Piper Perry.
Is she? I don't know. Isn't that like a porn star?
Yeah, she's the one that was surrounded on. She's the meme where all the black dudes were surrounding her.
No. This girl's not a porn star. She's just a random girl, but she's famous because she's got this condition that's like the opposite of Robin Williams and Jack, where it's like she's like 38, but she looked 11, and she's gonna look 11 her whole life. And she's like either engaged or married to a dude who's also 38, but he 38 like we 38.
Yeah.
And people are always like, you know, I'm very happy for her that she found love. And it's like, she's 38, so she should be with a 38-year-old. But it's like, but I don't know about this dude, though. But it's and other people point out, it's like, man, buddy found the ultimate loophole. Do you know how fucking jealous every other pedophile's got to be of that guy? Because it's like, he got it. He's the only one alive who worked it out, dude. If that is true of him, when he met her, he had to be like, you talk about jackpot. He was probably like, there's no way this is real.
But also good,
is this a trick?
On him.
Is this a sting or something like that? This can't be a real thing. Be fucking.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I understand why people would think like it's a bit weird, dude, that your wife looks 11, but it's like, again, who else is that girl supposed to marry? Like, she can't have love because, you know,
she can't date an 11-year-old. Obviously, that would make her a predator.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. No, I know.
So she's got to find a reverse Benjamin Button motherfucker. It's like, you know, what are you going to do? Like, these are all complicated things. But whatever. I don't know how we got there, but I would like to say, I rest in peace, Val Kilmer. We lost a good one. And I think that Val Kilmer definitely, at least for a portion of his career, was one of those pretentious, sort of up his own ass actors, which fits this show absolutely perfectly. But we celebrate Hollywood here, but he was 65 years old. I don't know exactly what happened. I do know that he had throat cancer for a while, so I'm sure it was a result
of he battled that shit
a long
for a long
time. But very unfortunate. In my opinion, the greatest performance to not win the Oscar of all time is him as Doc Holliday. He was a huge part of our childhood. There were stories of him being a nightmare on set and all sorts of shit like that. But I actually started reading his biography before he passed, and seemed like a genuine, misunderstood dude that just wanted to put love out into the world, and also hilarious as cunt in MacGruber. So R.I.P. to Val Kilmer. Trae, your favorite Val Kilmer role besides Doc Holliday?
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Doc Holliday, and it's not close. Besides that, I guess probably
Kiss, Bang, Bang.
Yeah, it's a great one. That's a great one. I was about to just go with Iceman because I love the Top Gun movies, but yeah, Kiss, Bang, Bang. That's a good play. He's awesome in that. I'm looking up. Guess who won? If Doc Holliday had been up, because I was going to say him as Doc Holliday is incredible, but that's I don't know how to put this. That's not a artsy movie, right? That's
of course
a mainstream.
Not. It wasn't revered by
movie.
Critics. A lot of people hated it.
I didn't know a lot of people hated it. I thought it was one hell of a crowd pleaser that really.
It was a hell of a crowd pleaser, but the critic shit on it a lot,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying that is an iconic role.
I don't think it did as well at box office as you'd think, though.
Well, I'll look that up in just a second. But that was he was never going to be up, or he was never going to win an Oscar for that. I don't think. But I figure he would have been up for Best Supporting Actor, right?
Of course.
So I went Best Supporting Actor for 1993, which is the year Tombstone came out, and that year Best Supporting Actor was won by Gene Hackman for Unforgiven, and I mean.
He crushed in that movie.
That's pretty tough to argue with.
It really is. I'm actually glad. I'm glad that that's who beat him. You know, because
strong year, 1993.
Yeah, read 1993's list because that's considered one of the best years of movies.
Unforgiven, wreck shit. Best Picture, Best Director. Best Supporting Actor, but Best Actor Al Pacino for Sin of a Woman. Hooah! Best Actress Emma Thompson for Howard's End. Emma Thompson rules, but I don't think I know that movie. I
don't even know what Howard's End is.
But Best Supporting Actress, iconic Marissa Tomei for My Cousin Vinny.
Yep,
all time.
Well, and there was controversy there? Like she didn't actually win. They pulled a La La Land.
Well, I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I have heard that she actually. There's a lot of people that say that that it was a La La Land situation and that she wasn't actually supposed to win, but they called her name out anyways. I'm pretty sure. Now, I think she deserved it.
According to Snopes, that is false. It is it is an internet rumor. I mean, it's on. It's not. That's the purpose of Snopes. It's an internet rumor, but according to Snopes, that is not true.
A lot of people were. I think a lot of elites were unhappy with that because she played sort of. That movie's a comedy. She played
Jersey
sort of a
trash.
Jersey trash. But first off, she crushed it, and I'm telling you right now, that movie holds up. She won it. That scene alone, when she explains that, no, there is no way that those tire marks could have been made by that because they didn't have the rear wheel suspension in 1963. She won it for that. She was awesome in that movie. Super girl power movie, that one.
That movie is regarded. I don't see the I just see the winners. I don't see the nominees, but what the fuck was I about to say?
Shawshank came out the year afterwards, and so did Forrest Gump. The early 90s are just unbelievable.
I think Pulp Fiction came out in 94 too.
It did.
Yeah, 94 I think is often regarded as
But Pulp Fiction didn't win. Did Pulp Fiction didn't win shit, did it?
I don't know. I
Like,
mean,
it
I
got
think it was
some
at
pretty.
least nominated, but I don't know. We'll check
I
that
think it
out
was
too.
nominated, but I think it got snubbed because it was one of those just like, Pulp Fiction was almost to a certain degree that Marty McFly scene in Back to the Future where it's like, you aren't ready for that one, huh? But your kids are going to love it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people were very confused with the direction, the overt violence.
Yeah, but dude, it was also
It was a
like
cultural
I
phenomenon
was
for
about to say,
sure.
right. That's what I was about to say. I don't think it was like
I'm
I
talking
mean, it was
about,
huge.
of
It
course,
was
no,
like game
I'm
changing
speaking
huge.
about the elites here. I'm speaking about what Hollywood is thinking. It was one of those that shook up Hollywood because it sort of flipped the script on everything. Like, you weren't like, the protagonists were antagonists. You know what I mean? This is before, your Tony Sopranos and your Walter Whites came along and made that a thing. Pulp Fiction,
No,
again, was super
Pulp
loved.
Fiction had 72 nominations and 69 wins across all the various awards, including, I mean, including it had a bunch of Academy. It was up for Best Picture, up for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting
Okay,
Actor.
just so
I
you
think,
know, I was talking all the way out of my ass.
yeah, that's what that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I remember it because
Yeah.
that was, I think that was the start of, that was actually the start of like indies
Yeah.
like taking over Hollywood in the 90s, which was
which
like
led to
Harvey
Harvey
Weinstein
Weinstein.
was a
Yeah.
big part of that.
What,
But
dude? Harvey Weinstein's. I mean, Quentin Tarantino
yeah,
owes his career to Harvey Weinstein.
Tombstone made, the thing I was going to say about My Cousin Vinny earlier is that they apparently show scenes from that in actual law school because it's one of the most accurate
Yes.
courtroom movies ever made, which is wild for a comedy like that. But Tombstone made $73 million against a $25 million budget. And it was third place in the box office, which, third place is not great, but it made money. It was fine, but it didn't.
I just remember reading about it later in life. Like, I grew up assuming that was everyone's favorite movie, and that movie was like a cultural touchstone in the way that, like, Gladiator was, and stuff like that, because it was huge in my household. And so when I found out that, like, a lot of people didn't hold it in that regard, like, it really blew my mind. And then realizing,
I feel like dudes of our generation, I feel like maybe it's because I'm from the South, and particularly in the South, but I feel like guys of our generation universally revere Tombstone.
I couldn't
like,
agree
as
more.
one of the most kick-ass movies of our lifetimes.
I couldn't agree more, but I was on a movie podcast one time, and they were asking me, like, off the top of my head, like, my top 5 favorite movies, which, like, that's always going to fuck me up because, and I know you're the same way, like, that fluctuate. Like, my favorite never changes. Like, there's a couple that stay in there no matter what, but depending on my mood, the top 5 can fluctuate depending on what I've seen most recently or what my attitude is. Always my favorite, my number 1 is going to be Blazing Saddles. It's never going to be dethroned. But Tombstone is, and I think Tombstone's on my top 5 favorite of all time list. And, like, whoever I was doing the movie podcast with, like, couldn't believe it. Like, they could not believe that I would consider that one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, it blew their mind. And I was like, I get it if it's not one of your favorites, but, like, you've seen it, right? They're like, yeah, I've seen it. It was fine. And I'm like, it was fine. I was like, that's one of the most rewatchable movies of all time. Like, because it's a great Western, but it's also equally hilarious. Like, it's a real funny fucking movie. It's got it all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Again, I know that me and my friends and my dad and just everybody, again, it was, I mean, there was no question. And also, like, Katie's dad, my father-in-law, he keeps a copy of it. He watches it regularly. Like, it's, it's just an absolute all-timer as far as I'm concerned.
I had an idea for, like, a movie podcast that was basically just focused on what I consider dad movies. And I think you know what I mean by dad movies. Like, me, you, and Mark have been texting a lot about them. Like, all these Gerard Butler movies fall into that category of dad movie.
Gerard Butler is the king of dad movies.
The king of dad movies. And I consider a dad movie, it's like something. It doesn't. I'm not saying it has to be stupid, but something with it's clear good guy versus bad guy. good defeating evil. It's not too complicated of a plot, and it just is badass. And I feel like movies, like, to me, if I had to rank, like, of all time, the top 5 dad movies, it's like Tombstone, Gladiator, Patriot, Saving Private Ryan, fucking A Few Good Men, and like The Godfather. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, but right, and those are all dad movies, but it's a good example of what you're talking, because The Patriot is another example of what you're talking about, where it's like that movie's not like cinematically respected.
I know, which is crazy to me, because it should be.
Fucking love that movie, but I was 13 or whatever when it came out, and it hit so hard for me. And
it still holds up.
I know it still is kick ass. Like, I still love it. But it and Tombstone both are, like, admittedly, in terms of, like, if you're going to be a pretentious snob cinematically,
yeah,
I get how Tombstone and what were we just talking about? Fucking The Patriot. Tombstone and The Patriot are not put in the same class as, like, Gladiator, Saving Private Ryan, and The Godfather.
Sure, okay, because some people
love
are
both
stupid.
Those movies. You don't see how they're more fun, but because they're cheesier, like they're ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't
like
find anything about Tombstone to be cheesy. I think it's a cinematic
you serious?
Mess. No, not at all.
I love that movie, bro.
What's cheesy about it?
Dude, Kurt Russell walks out into the fucking creek.
That really happened.
With the gun,
really
fucking
happened.
saying, no, fucking you tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me and all that stuff. So many
first-hand accounts that really. Oh, are you not entertained? So you saying that's different?
Tombstone is awesome, but it is cheesy.
Nah, it's not cheesy.
It is cheesy hits for me. I like cheesy.
It's the Citizen Kane of westerns.
I think that, like, I mean, I know this movie hits for you, but this is probably still about to piss you off. But, like, I think, like, as a movie, like, or not as a movie, movie's the wrong way. I don't even know what I'm saying. Again, if you're just being snobbish about it, like, I think, like, 3:10 to Yuma is a better, like film, but I like Tombstone more.
I agree that 3:10 to Yuma is a better film. 100%. I agree with that.
Okay, well, I'm just saying Tombstone and The Patriot are both, they're just more popcorny, they're more mainstream, they're cheesier in ways. Yeah, I don't know about mainstream. I mean, The Godfather is the biggest movie of all time.
I just think that it requires equal talent to pull off both.
Well, I didn't say that. I'm not disagreeing with that. But, like,
3:10 to Yuma rules. But 3:10 to Yuma, I feel like, has a great combination of both, because it's not in any way up its own ass, but the tone is more serious. And by the way, when I say the tone is more serious, I mean there's less jokes. Like, I guess Tombstone's fatal flaw is they dared to be funny in some regards. You know, like Doc Holliday was super funny. Billy Bob Thornton's whole thing is very funny.
I mean, Tarantino and the Coen brothers are both very, very funny too, and it doesn't impact them in the eyes of, like, cinema snobs. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was not revered by critics. And it's their funniest movie.
That's fine, but they themselves...
The Big Lebowski was not received well, and it's one of their funniest movies.
That's true. Fargo was huge, and it's hilarious.
And it's not that funny. It's not as funny.
I just rewatched it on a plane. It's funny, but it's not as...
It's funny, but it's not as funny.
Frances McDormand, William H. Macy...
It's funny, but it's not as funny as the ones that I just named.
Well, those are like comedies.
I'm aware of that.
Like full-blown comedy. Well, Tombstone is not a good comp to those two movies, because those are full-blown comedies.
But they're not revered as much. Their most revered movie is fucking No Country for Old Men, which is the least
comedy-less.
Which is the least like the Coen. That's the least like the Coen Brothers movies of any Coen Brothers movies, except for Blood Simple. Like Blood Simple, it's almost like they went back. Like Blood Simple, if you watch Blood Simple, which is their first one, and then you watch the rest of the Coen Brothers oeuvre, you're like, damn, are these the same people? But Blood Simple and No Country for Old Men are like the ones that get jacked off the most by the critics because they're not funny.
That's fine. I know that critics don't like comedy, but it's not. But Tombstone, the comedy is not the headliner in Tombstone. Tombstone is not first and foremost a comedy movie. The Big Lebowski
which I think makes it more impressive.
The Big I know, but the Coen brothers have so many movies that people have jerked off that are in that category, and that's almost Tarantino's entire fucking filmography is that, where it's like the headliner is not comedy, but they're fucking funny though. And Tombstone is one of those movies, right? But it's not looked at the same way.
I know that, and I'm saying that it should be. I know that it's not looked at the same way. I'm saying that it should be. I think Tombstone is a Orson Welles level masterpiece.
Okay.
I will die on that fucking hill.
Right. What was the other one? Oh, The Patriot. What about The Patriot?
No, dude. That's different. That's different.
Okay, so you acknowledge that The Patriot is cheesy as fuck. Yeah, because,
dude, The Patriot is just, complete. Even in 5th grade when I watched it, I was like, this is just overt propaganda. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. And by the way, the Tombstone is the reason that, Wyatt Earp, people don't know this, but Wyatt Earp had a longer rap sheet than any of the cowboys that he killed in the movie. He was a worse person than all of them. The only difference is Wyatt Earp just happened to live long enough to where people made movies and could consult him on them. So he got to rewrite his history. But The Patriot is just absolute overt propaganda, but my man Jason Isaacs fucking crushes in it, which is another point I was about to bring up. I don't know if you've been watching White Lotus this season.
Not yet. I'm going to, but that's
a very putting on air show, because you talk about up its own ass. Jason Isaacs does a Southern accent that I respect.
Oh, wow. I'm not surprised because he's the man.
He don't play it dumb. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's an upper crust Southern dude, but me and my mom both had a long conversation about it because she's a fan.
I love him so much, but it is so Raven that they were like, we got a character in this show and he's Southern, but here's what's different. He's successful and not a fucking idiot. Yep. And so they were like, okay, well, obviously we're going to have to get a British guy to do that because there's no way a real American Southern person could ever pull off fucking upper crust and, well put together or whatever.
Right. But his wife is Parker Posey, who is a real life Southerner. And she fucking murders. She gives some of the greatest line reads ever.
Again, I'm a huge fan of his. I
will say this about White Lotus. This is the first time I've ever watched it. I didn't watch the first 2 seasons. I'm just now watching this one because it's an anthology. I'm on episode 7, and I gotta tell you, still waiting for something to happen.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
So
still waiting for something to happen.
That show has been jerked off since the day it came out, and you're right, it is a very POAE type show because it all takes place. It's all rich people shit in these exotic locales. But when the first season, from my perception, launched Sydney Sweeney and her enormous rack. She was in the first season of that show.
That. I didn't know she was in it.
Yeah, and that was like the thing that broke her or made her a big deal.
I thought it was Euphoria that did that for her.
Well, maybe. Euphoria definitely came before the White Lotus, but I feel like White Lotus, because from the very first season, White Lotus has been like a big deal, a thing that gets jerked off.
Yes,
and she was in the first season, and it definitely elevated her. But anyway, it was this cultural phenomenon, and I was watching it with Katie, and I got to episode at least 5 or 6, and I remember being at lunch with Andrew Reich and telling him, I was like, I got to tell you, man, I don't think I get it. I was like, I'm not
either. I really don't either.
I'm not following what's so great about this. And he was like, oh, really? He's like, oh, I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. There was no one moment where this happened, but by the end of that, at some point, I know how douchey this sounds, but I swear to God, this is what happened for me. At some point, something clicked and I suddenly did get it. Yeah. And I love that show now. I haven't watched 3 yet, but only because I like to binge things. I'm definitely going to watch season 3.
For the record, I do not mind a slow burn so long as once that fuse is lit, it's a big boom. You know what I mean? And it's a slow burn. Now, if the payoff is great, I'm patient is all I'm saying. I'm patient. I get, I'll stick with it because I'm I trust that, obviously this is the 3rd season. It's working. The director and creator is an amazing talent. and I will sit through a lot of slow as long as I trust that it's gonna boom. And then if it don't boom, it's like, well, what did I really waste? I sat there. I get to see Maggie Coon. Is that her name from
Carrie Coon? I don't know who's in season 3, but Carrie Coon is a good actress. Yeah,
and you get to see her naked, and that hits, and that was worth the whole thing. I didn't recognize her until 3 episodes in because I'm used to her from Gilded Age, and she's a blonde in this. But anyways, we need to take a break.
Yes, we do. We need to take a break so we can come back and do Catherine the Great, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Catherine the Great, guys.
All right, right
after this.
Hey, y'all, remember the feeling of booting up your favorite game for the first time? Oh, yeah, all the late night sessions, the epic wins, the sound of the lobby filling up with friends. If you're like me, you remember blowing into cartridges and using light guns to shoot ducks and things like that. We've come a long way in the gaming world, buddy. Gaming, it's been part of my whole life. It has. Gaming, it's not just something you do. It's a whole experience, and the right headset can make all the difference with that these days. All right. Turtle Beach is bringing that feeling back with the Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset. It's like stepping back into the golden age of gaming all over again, only this time the audio is richer, the surround sound is more immersive, and the battery lasts an truly insane 80 hours. 80-hour battery, y'all. Can't beat that. The Stealth 700 also has the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless transmitter system. It's super cool. It's like they got these little USB things here that you use to plug into the devices you want to use the headphones with, and then you can just seamlessly switch between those devices. So you can switch between your Xbox and your PC by just clicking a little button on there using these very highly advanced doohickeys they got. It gets even better. While being connected to your console, the Stealth 700 can connect with your phone for music streaming or taking calls at the same time. So you can listen to your favorite songs while gaming, all done with the Stealth 700. No more crackly mics, no more missed call outs, just pure uninterrupted gaming, exactly the way you want it to be, but even better. And for a limited time only, you can get 10% off your entire order with the code POA at turtlebeach.com. Don't miss out. Stay warm and level up your game with 10% off at turtlebeach.com and use the promo code POA. Cho, tell them about your experience with them.
Dude, I got them right here. And if you've been on any of my streams, you've seen me use these from time to time. I have never in my life put on a pair of headphones more comfortable. And the only reason I'm not using them right now is because these are specifically designed for games. And they not only are they comfortable, like I'll have them on playing games, and then I'll just leave them on, and I keep them on in bed because I didn't realize this when I got them, because I've had some gaming headphones before that like that's all they were good for, but when it came to like actually listening to music and stuff on them, it was like whatever. Even if you do not game, these are just the best headphones that I own for music. Like the sound is so rich, the rap is amazing, and then if I'm listening to music and my mama calls, bloop, I just pull down this thing and I look like I'm working at a call center and it super hits. These are heavy duty. Like I really was just blown away by the craftsmanship. We've got several nozzles over here to make the music that you're listening to louder, also make your voice louder. It connects to Bluetooth, super easy. It's got several different modes. And I like to just put them on when I'm in bed so I can hear nothing and I can vibe out. Can't say enough good things about these Turtle Beach headphones. Like I said, even if you don't game, these are a cheaper option than some of those super high-end headphones. They cost you less, and in my opinion, they sound better. And on that battery life, I got these about 2 weeks ago. I've not charged them one time. But you can, super easy. Got the USB-C thing right there. Head to turtlebeach.com and use the code POA for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with the promo code POA. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. I'm telling you. Also, just listen to the new Kendrick Lamar album on them. Fantastic stuff. Y'all, in winter, it's super easy to hole up inside, but in spring, you're going to be going out a lot. You're going to be staying out a lot longer. You're going to be sitting on the patio having your drinks. You're going to be sweating a little bit. You're going to go to work, hit them happy hours. You're going to have to hit the gym, and you're not always going to have time to jump directly into the shower, but don't worry about that because we got Mando whole body deodorant. And unlike some other deos I've tried, it lasts as long as I do. For real. The whole body deodorant is great. You spread it literally everywhere. I like the body cream because I like to be lathering myself. Trae knows. I like to slather my head. I get that bee all good and slathered up. You can use it in your pits, on your balls, which is very important because even if you do shower, 15 minutes later, your balls go back to smelling like balls, right? It's just wonderful to have. They got the wipes. I'm a guy who I've always felt like you can be fat and bald, but you got to smell good, right? You can't also be stinky. If you're going to be stinky, you got to look like Brad Pitt, and even he shouldn't be stinky. So I'm a stickler for smelling good, right? So I love Mando. Absolutely perfect. I keep the wipes in my car. I keep the full body deodorant in my car. And we got a special offer. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. All you got to do is use POA at shopmando.com. That's SHOP shop Mando, MANDO.com. Trae, tell them more about our good buddies at Mando.
They got a bunch of stuff. They got that whole body deodorant. You can use it anywhere on your stinking self. Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, feet, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated oftentimes. And Mando is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 whole hours. Mando deodorant product options include a solid deodorant stick, and they also got the spray stuff, which is aluminum free, ideal for those hard to reach places. All of the products are free of baking soda and free of that dastardly paraben. No paraben in Mando's products. They got all these different
paraben.
I'm very anti-paraben. Mando's got a bunch of different scents, all of which hit: bourbon leather, cloven woods, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport. I like the bourbon leather, but they all are pretty fire. And like I said, clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. It's true. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, for example, the mini body wash and the deodorant wipes, and also free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code POA at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Use the code POA. Get that $5 off and free shipping. Smell fresher, stay drier, boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex, baby. And starting now, Blue Chew's offering a combo so strong, it'll knock your socks off and your neighbor's socks off. That's right. You know what I mean? You know why I say that? Because you're going to end up having to move because your neighbor's going to complain so much with all the noise you're making, knocking boots over here on this side of the fence, baby, when you use Blue Chew Max. Blue Chew Max has arrived, and it combines the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis into one chewable. The combo acts fast, and it lasts. Guys, be ready when she needs it. Get your first month of Blue Chew free. Great sex is just a few clicks away. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers. Once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped directly to your door, which is the best part of the whole thing. It's done entirely on the internet. That means no more visits to the doctor's office and awkward winter conversations waiting in line at the pharmacy for your dick pills and running into your old guidance counselor. None of that stuff. Joe, you're a big, big fan.
Huge fan. A lot of people ask me, does it work? And I'm like, man, it makes my dick harder than trying to fit my dick into my acid wash jeans after taking a Blue Chew. You know what I'm saying? Tight britches. You know what I'm saying? You're going to want a little extra extra room in the sidle if you get me. You're going to love it. With Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman. I know I am, because when that package arrived, your package has arrived. And I don't have to go down to the pharmacy and see my friend Casey, who works there and was the co-editor of the newspaper. So she's looking at me like, oh, okay. Not only are you bald, but your wiener don't work. Yeah, it does. Wiener does work. My wiener does work. Barry Bonds was already a Hall of Famer before he got on the juice. Sometimes you just want that extra step so you can crack one off and hit it into the pond and blow a back out. You know what I'm saying? They say that first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions? There's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you the confidence where it counts. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com, and we got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code POA at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code POA to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. And Trae,
Get you a new dick.
why wouldn't you?
All right, we're back, y'all. It's time once again. History with Professor Cho, I reckon. Catherine the Great. Is this is she a different family than Anastasia was in?
We'll see.
Okay, because Anastasia famously the subject that you butchered the most badly, according to our fans. There's a Hulu show about her that's weird.
That's really good.
It's like it's one of those. What's the word?
It's a historical fiction.
Right, but they do it it's anachronistic is the word I'm looking for. Anachronistic, where it's like it's a period piece, but they don't treat everything accurately on purpose. Right. It's like very modern at the same time.
It's like a Tarantino movie.
And Nicholas Holt's in it, right?
Yes, and he is quickly becoming one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah, he's very, very good. So anyway, I have seen the first season of that show, but
it's real funny.
That's it. Yeah,
it's real funny.
It's supposed to be. Yeah, it's like.
Did I ever tell you about? So the first time I ever saw Nicholas Hoult was in a movie called Warm Bodies. And did you see Warm Bodies?
No, it's like a zombie love story, isn't it?
It's a zombie love story.
When that came out, I could not have been more over zombies, and I don't really fuck with love stories as a general rule, so I had no interest in that movie, but I know that it hit for people.
I wasn't over zombies because I never really had gotten into them to begin with. Like, I didn't really, I watched the first season of Walking Dead with some people, and then I stopped dating that girl, and then I stopped. But
that's the best place to stop, actually. But
I agree. Well, dude, as soon as Barenthal's gone, Barenthal was my dude, and when he was gone, I was like Shane, right? I think was his name.
Shane, yes.
If you want to lose me, kill John Barenthal.
The much more impactful thing, I mean, in my opinion, the showrunner of the first season of Walking Dead was Frank Darabont, who made Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, and The Mist. He's the only guy really who's ever reliably adapted Stephen King repeatedly,
right?
Which is no small feat.
Hard to do.
No small feat. And one of those is a lot of people think the single greatest film ever made. So,
right.
He made season 1 of Walking Dead, and it's fire. Then they got into a creative dispute, and he was let go after season 1. And in my opinion, there is a colossal drop off in quality from even just after. And I still watched the next 4 goddamn seasons, and there was some cool shit in it, but it really never got that great again. It's still on,
dude. So they have the Walking
I know they have a million spinoffs, but I thought the regular show finally
that's what
ended.
I meant, though. But they have the Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. Then they've got Fear the Walking Dead. Yeah. But all of them are the same. I mean, it's just, hey, there's zombies and they're coming. None of them.
Well, and even also, it's they're also all are you don't get it. The real threat isn't the zombies. It's
what they're doing to us.
It's other human. And it's that's the theme of literally every zombie thing that's ever been fucking made before. So it's I actually want, and even if you could tell me it isn't realistic, I want a post-apocalyptic movie where people are actually remotely cool about shit.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because I'm not entirely sold on the fact that every single person who survives an apocalypse will turn into a butt fucking cannibal immediately. And I know it's not always immediately, but I'm just saying every post-apocalyptic movie deals with that same shit.
Yeah.
And I don't I for one do not take it for granted that that's how it would be, and it's
Right.
like that none of them ever posit the alternative,
Right.
ever, and I
Right.
just think that's a little odd. But anyway, sorry, Catherine the Great, go ahead.
Warm Bodies actually kind of does that a little bit, but the funny thing I want to tell you, like that's when I first discovered Nicholas Halton. The only reason that we went to see this movie is me and my dad used to do double features, which is where you buy a ticket to one movie and then see it and then sneak into another movie, you know. And greatest
Your Boy Crime, classic.
Yep. Best one we ever did was we saw fucking Taken and Gran Torino in the same day.
I bet he was loving that.
Boy, and I was too. And then we went to Hooters afterwards. Like that was
what a day he had, man.
By the way, not only did we go to Hooters, my dad asked to speak to the chef. That's how good
so
the wings were.
Goddamn funny.
Ain't that hilarious?
Look, I love Hooters wings. You ain't gonna hear no back talk from me on that front. But asking to speak to the chef at Hooters is hilarious. By the way, pour one out. Hooters has filed for bankruptcy this past
They'll
week.
be all right. They'll be all right. And Elon, if Elon would buy them, he could get some real points with me. But dude, not only did my dad, like we're sitting there and they were fire. Like, and Hooters wings have always hit for me, but these,
me too.
My dad goes to the girl and he goes, would it be okay if I spoke to the chef? I'd really like to give my compliments. First, I've called him a chef. She's like, yeah.
You mean Larry?
Yeah, and we
he can't come out here because he's got an ankle monitor on. He's not allowed outside of the kitchen. But if you'd like to come back to the window, you could talk to him when he's done smoking a cigarette that's laced with crack.
What we did
back in the fucking parking lot out there.
we went back there, and I'll give you one guess what happened. It was the biggest, fattest black dude you've ever seen in your whole life.
Well, that checks out.
You know, and it was like, and dude, by the way, he was so pumped. Like, he was like, man, thank you, dude. He's like, they don't want me to, but I double dip the bread or whatever. And my dad's like, well, you just keep it up, my man. My dad gave him like $20 tipping the chef at fucking Hooters. Anyways, we went and saw something. And then the next movie that was playing was Warm Bodies. And dad was like, oh, a zombie movie. And yeah, it's a zombie love movie. And being I'm a lot more artsy fartsy than my dad. I was loving it, but my dad sat there with his arms crossed the whole time, and he just kept looking at me, and he's like, if we don't get the fuck out of this theater right now, you're not my son. And I was like, and he ended up leaving and just sitting in the truck. That was better than sitting in the movie theater and finishing the movie.
Just staring into nothingness into the parking lot,
into nothingness, and thinking about how fucking gay his son is in there watching this zombie love movie. Anyways, we're going to talk about Catherine the Great, and the reason I said I don't remember when you asked that question is I actually did this research like 3 weeks ago. I over prepared. Sources, all the sources will be linked in the description, but just to give you a quick overview. The book, Catherine the Great, Portrait of a Woman, which was Random House in 2011. Thumbed through that, got that at McKay's. Also, Catherine, her memoirs, which were translated by Mark Kruse and Hildy Hugenbottom, and naturally just some academic articles in journals. Simon Dixon wrote this great piece on Catherine the Great. And the Encyclopedia Britannica and all that, just the regular stuff. My entire bibliography will be in the description. So let's start from Prussian nobody to a Russian highborn or whatever. Born Sophia Friedrich Augusta von Anhalt-Zerbst in 1729, Catherine started out as a minor Prussian princess. She was basically a nobody on the European stage. At 14, she gets this wild career offer, which was, hey, like, you ain't got much going on. Why don't you come marry the heir to the Russian throne, And so she's brought to Russia in 1744 to marry Grand Duke Peter, who would be the future Peter III. He's the grandson of Peter the Great. So a lot of greats in this story.
So you said this is 17 something?
1744.
So this is like quite a bit before Anastasia then.
Yes, absolutely. Now, whether they're in the same family, that could still be true. It's not happening at the same time. Upon converting to Orthodoxy, she took the name Catherine Alexeyevna which leveled up her Russification game.
Mhm.
You know, like she's
Some,
like, if I'm a
red
be a,
cred. Red is
gonna
in
be a monkey.
Russia red.
Yeah, gonna be a monkey, be a gorilla. She's ambitious. She's shrewd from the get-go. Her husband, not necessarily the Prince Charming. He was sort of a man-child. He was obsessed with toy soldiers. Like he used to, like as a grown man, he played with dolls and stuff. Like he was that guy who just like, I guess he, he couldn't lead a real war. So he's playing with these toy soldiers that he had some slave whittle out of wood. At one point, this is a real thing that happened. He's playing toy soldiers and he sees a rat, like a rat comes into his room, and he put the rat on trial for treason and had like a trial for this rat and then hanged the rat.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe that didn't come up when we covered animal trials on an earlier episode.
Well, because this is
like
one.
A king or a prince or something doing it, right? So like you'd think that would have been on the list, but I guess they just had so many animal trials back then that
dude, you just
not everything's going to make the list,
You just reminded me, and somebody emailed me this at puttingonairs@gmail.com, so I'll remember. I've got to watch that Colin Firth movie where he plays the rat lawyer.
Right. So this guy's like, I mean, he's insane, or
insane.
like his brain ain't right.
Yeah, he's inbred. He's been living his whole life in royalty. He has no idea what the outside world is like. And the marriage is tortured, a hot mess. So Peter was possibly impotent and definitely disinterested. Like he didn't want to fuck her. He just wanted to play his army games. And he had mistresses on the side, but he didn't fuck them. He just played like Russian army Legos with them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Catherine, and they sort
That's
of.
not, does that I mean, does that count as a mistress?
Yeah, right.
Maybe. That's like a playmate. That's a friend. I don't know what that is.
That's true, but remember we've talked about this in several episodes. Back then, a mistress was like an actual job with health benefits and stuff. Like you it wasn't that you took a mistress because it was your divine right to take a mistress. It's like my wife is for bearing my children, and these are my whores, right?
Or your playtime buddies,
your buddy,
not
your buddy,
well, not some people used them as concubines, and other people used them as to take control of the little Prussian wooden soldiers in the
play a nice game of Risk. And all of this is kind of alluded to in the show. Nicholas Hoult plays this guy, and he's very aloof. But while all this is going on, Catherine is like, well, I'm going to, get myself educated. I'm going to read books. I'm going to be plotting. And she later hinted that none of her children were Peter's, which made sense because he was allegedly celibate and impotent. Her son, Paul, who was born in 1754, was likely fathered by her first lover, Sergei Saltykov, which was a real, a royal Maury Povich moment, I suppose. Fun fact, Catherine was not a great beauty. She had charisma, and even as a teen duchess, she charmed the Russian court by she learned fluent Russian, and she could also drink everybody under the table. She just knew how to play the game, She embraced the Orthodox faith. She embraced the Russian customs. Like she really became one of them, and they respected her for that. And she was, from day one, she was basically auditioning to be the head empress in charge of Russia, but her looks didn't really have nothing to do with it. It was more her, how you say, joie de vivre, So here is a little section I like to call How to Marry a Loser and Stage a Coup. So fast forward to 1762, Empress Elizabeth, this is Peter's aunt, she dies, and Peter III becomes Tsar briefly. He pisses everybody off because he halts Russia's war against Prussia because his idol is Frederick the Great, and he don't want to be pissing him off. And he also really pissed off the Orthodox Church and planned to ditch Catherine for his mistress. Right, so he's just pissing everybody that's ever been in his corner off.
Didn't you say that Catherine is Prussian by birth? Isn't that what you said?
Yes, Prussian by birth.
But I mean, this is years and years later, so this war don't have nothing to do with. She's not any kind of like ward or hostage or nothing.
No, she's not a war hostage. I don't.
Well, I said ward or hostage, but you know what I mean. Like when they used to do that.
No. She literally just she just went to one of those debutante parties, and
they were like, "You can do this." But then, like coincidentally, years later, the countries went to war with each other.
Now it would make sense that there was like inklings of that there might have been a war, because if this guy truly is impotent and also she's not that hot, it could have been like hey, get with her because it will help later, because eventually, because I mean, nothing happens overnight. Like if there's a war that happens today, 30 years ago could have been the spark. You know what I'm saying? And all these little tangled webs that we weave. So Catherine, sensing her moment, rallied her allies. She charmed all the imperial guards, especially her new lover, Grigory Orlov, who was a super popular officer. And on June 28th, 1762, she rode out in a guardsman uniform that she'd stole and seized power in a bloodless coup d'etat. She proclaimed herself Empress Catherine II at the Kazan Cathedral while Peter was away on vacation. So he's gone, and she just
he's just hitting somewhere playing with toys on a beach, and she just took his crown and throne and everything.
She was just like, "Hey, he ain't here, so fucking what up, cuz I'm the person now." Which it's weird, the countries that let women do stuff versus the countries that didn't let women do stuff, because like you'd think that wouldn't fly, but I guess that if you're of any type of nobility, you can just like all the plebeians will be like, well, she's fucking
she got that good blood, and we just dumb illiterate peasants. I guess she'll rule us now.
We got that stank blood.
I think a lot of the peasants was just like, well, what's the fucking difference? You know what I mean?
Who cares?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it really does boil down to that. Like, a lot. It was like that. What used to be in the South, when everybody was completely apolitical, because they were like, fuck them both. It don't matter. Like, I'm getting fucked either way. So what does it matter? Who's in charge? It ain't me. So yeah, I believe that they probably felt that way. So Peter III conveniently abdicates within days, and also was then assassinated under mysterious circumstances. 8 days after the coup, he wound up dead, likely, obviously, at the hands of Catherine's supporters. She claimed innocence, but everyone pretty much was just like, I mean, all right, a little bit too convenient. He's off, playing, fucking building his Death Star on the beach with some bitch from Prague, and then he comes back. You declare yourself empress, and he's dead. One observer put it, Catherine saved Russia from the disaster of Peter's rule. So now in September 1762, Catherine is crowned officially empress in Moscow with great pomp and circumstance. People are all about this. She's the HBIC of all of Russia, which I think stands for head bitch in charge. It
does. What do you mean you think that?
Well, because I just got the acronym. I don't have what it stands for, so I'm just making up.
Okay, but did you write that in there?
I saw that it said HBIC, and I copy and pasted it from a thing and put it in my notes, and I didn't look up what HBIC meant.
I just assumed that it definitely means head bitch in charge, but it's like I thought that I just assumed you had written. It's funny to me that one of the sources you used, that they used an acronym like HBIC. I just assumed that you would have termed it that way, and that made it even funnier to me that you then later forgot.
Is a female leader or authority figure. She has gone from being HBIC.
Where are you reading that? It stands for head bitch in charge. I know it does. I mean, it's a thing. It's a like. there's also HNIC, in case
Oh,
you
it
don't
really
know.
does stand for head bitch in charge.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think I was fucking with you? I know.
No, I thought I just made that up.
No.
I just read in an article that someone said she's now the HBIC of all the Russians, and I was like, oh, cool. That probably means the heralded blah blah blah. And I got to figure out which source that came from. And
that's
my
what
brain
I'm
was
saying. That's why I assumed that you had whatever summarized the shit you had read into and you put in there. Yeah. So then she became the HBIC because it's wild to me that an actual source would use that acronym.
Yeah.
So,
because I do read like
it's funny you Googled it. It's like, no, it's a female authority figure. It's like, right.
But it's funny because some of my sources are like op-eds. You know what I mean? Like I'll read an op-ed or something and then I'll just see a thing and I'll be like, that's a good quote. I'll pull from that. And I will be like, I'll forget to look up what HBIC was. So yeah, I guess that I just naturally came to head bitch and show. That's really funny.
You've probably heard it before over your lifetime.
Maybe
it's like it's a cultural thing. Like
maybe
I feel like
always would say bottom bitch.
People probably know that acronym when you say it to them.
Okay, well that hits for me. So she's the head bitch in charge of all the Russians. A 32-year-old foreign-born woman who stole the throne. No drop of royal blood whatsoever. She just outmaneuvered everybody by playing a game of chess. There's a famous anecdote that right after deposing her husband, Catherine met Gregory Puttin, who was a dashing young officer who actually fetched her sword during the coup. And she had no idea, but this meet cute ended up blossoming into her most legendary partnership. So she has a reign of 34 years. And she's just getting started at this point. She's now Catherine, the enlightened empress, philosopher of the throne. She idolized the Enlightenment ideals of Voltaire and Montesquieu. Is that how you say his name?
Sounds right.
Yeah. She wanted to be a philosopher. That was she wanted to think. She wanted to be one of them motherfuckers that was like that be doing that. She wanted to bring reason and progress to Russia, which like that ain't it for most people.
Still ain't it over there, I don't think.
And it says like they say it's like, oh, she wasn't just about snagging power, and it's like kind of seems like she was, but she wanted to modernize Russia. And she wrote like late night letters to Voltaire, like some sort of like Taylor Swift fangirl. Early in her reign, she wrote the Nakaz, which is instruction, in 1767, which was a grand manifesto. Russians love manifestos of legal reforms, which is inspired by Montesquieu and Beccaria. And all this talks about is she wants to outlaw torture. She wants equality before the law. And it was pretty fucking liberal by our standards. And so much so that France, of all places, censored it and was like, no, fuck that. They're like, we must have torture. Torture is what's up. Like, I don't know how you're going to do it without torture.
Yeah. Refuse to give up their oubliettes. Oubliette is like a torture dungeon thing.
Yeah, dude. Oubliettes, I wouldn't mind having an oubliette. In Russia, it turned into a dead letter, which was just basically like they were like, look, these are great ideas, but we're not going to be able to enforce these in, a feudal empire. So she convenes this huge legislative commission in around 1767 with representatives from all classes except serfs, not all classes.
Well, they don't count. They're not people.
To draft a new law code. It was like this giant congress of like nobles, semi-peasant, non-Russians. Seems pretty progressive, but it was really more talk than action. Like it dissolved without any new laws. Like they basically, they got together for this meeting, but nothing came of it, and they totally didn't have to do it. which is, I mean, a lot of like most meetings that we've ever been to, that totally could have just been like, I don't know, you could have just
but back then it would have been like, this meeting totally could have been a wax sealed cylinder scroll, a wax sealed scroll delivered by courier. This meeting could have been one of those.
This meeting could have
been tied to a bird's leg.
Yeah, I was about to say, this meeting could have been a pigeon. I ain't gonna lie. That's hilarious. Dude, that makes me want to do a workplace comedy set in that time.
I think that somebody did a sort of that.
Plebs is kind of
Plebs I never watched it, but I know that there's a thing.
You've never watched Plebs? One of the most underrated comedies of all time. I've never laughed so hard at every scene. It's so fucking funny, dude. Also, they got white slaves, so that's nice. Catherine corresponded with all these philosophers of Europe, and she earned a lot of street cred. They were calling her things like the enlightened despot, which is to say, like, yeah, she's a piece of shit, but like, she's a smart one. She traded letters with Voltaire for 15 years, snagged his personal library after he died, and Voltaire nicknamed her the Star of the North and kept a portrait of her in his bedroom. So like, she was a fangirl of him, and he ended up becoming a fanboy of hers. She invites this feller named Dennis Diderot to St. Petersburg, and she's like chatting him up about philosophy and shit. And she pays off all his debts by buying his library. Like, she's just in the game of like getting as many books as she can. And then he hired him as her librarian. So she also wrote comedies. She wrote memoirs. She wrote children's fairy tales. So like, she was, doing coup d'etats, but also had like an artful soul. She was also a polymath, loved science, loved education. She championed one of the very first mass smallpox inoculation campaigns in Russia. She got herself inoculated first to set like an example. Like, it was a PR stunt, like not dissimilar to what like the Kelsey brothers and shit did, during the Pfizer vaccine or whatever. And it really did make vaccination trendy at court. And school kids were like, okay, I'll get inoculated. Some of those schools, which she helped found, such as the Smolny Institute for Noble Maidens, which was one of the first state schools for women in Europe. When idealism hit reality, and Catherine, like, she like, I don't know, she just wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. And she fought 2 major wars against the Ottoman Empire from 1768. Classic. Yeah, classic. You wasn't
motherfuckers
shit
back then. You
wasn't shit back then if you didn't fuck with the Ottoman Empire.
No, they was all over the place, just starting all kinds of shit, just fucking ruining
One fact
people's
that
days.
I hear about the Ottoman Empire the other day, that was crazy. Like, fucking, like, Domino's Pizza was invented while the Ottoman Empire was still a thing, or something.
I don't know. I've heard.
It wasn't
I can't,
that, but it was something crazy.
It's something like that. You're right. I know what you're talking about. I've heard that fact before too, but I can't recall it right now. But it's something just illustrates how
long,
relatively modern and long the Ottoman Empire was.
Yeah.
I feel like the Turks kind of get away with that, by the way. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people in that neck of the woods who try very hard not to allow them to get away with it. I know that the Greeks don't like Turks. I know that like Armenians damn sure don't like Turks, but like,
dude,
I think a lot of white people in the Western world and shit, like, I don't think they know that is the Ottoman Empire or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, or really even know that much about the Ottoman Empire. But
we're very dumb.
They're aware that it was a thing for a long time.
Yeah,
but
like you know the name, the Ottoman Empire, but you don't understand like its breadth or whatever. And yeah, also like you talk about all these people that hate each other. Like, you've said this before, and it's just so true. And I know people don't. You hear it and you won't believe it, but it's like, as hard as it is to believe, like, America might literally be the least racist country on earth.
Yeah,
like,
I know. Again, nobody wants to, especially liberals, don't want to hear that. But it's like, that's not even a statement about America. That's a statement about the rest of this fucking world.
Because I'm not saying we're great. Like,
maybe some of them I don't know about some of those like socialist utopias in Northern Europe and shit like that. But America's less racist than the vast majority of the world. Dude, and America is, I think, objectively the most diverse country
without question
on the planet. But I think you could argue it's the most ethnically diverse and least racist country on this planet. Yeah, and it's still a bit of a nightmare as far as all that goes. So
yeah, and the South and the Midwest are like the most diverse of all the places. Like if you take away just New York City, which that don't count, but like anyway. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild to think about. She takes on the Ottoman Empire, determined to grab a warm water port and fulfill Peter the Great's legacy, who she had murdered. She framed it, of course, as a holy war of Russia, and she wants to be the new Rome. And this is, of course, versus the Turks. But she mainly wanted Crimea and control of the Black Sea.
God damn. I guess it's because of the Black Sea, but them motherfuckers have been after Crimea since day one of the saga. Crimea must hit. It's fine. We jump cut to Crimea and it's just like muddy peasant bullshit or whatever there. I don't know. It might be beautiful. but I guess it's because of the Black Sea, I'm assuming. It's for access to the Black Sea.
It is access.
That's why they care so much about it. It is
access to the Black Sea, and she did get them. She gets control of all this, but like, no, dude, you're right. Like, if you start like tugging the string of like so many wars throughout time, like Crimea will come up. Her top generals, Alex Orlov, which was that Grigory dude's brother who she had banged a while back, they won a huge naval victory in Chesame in 1770. They blew up this huge Ottoman fleet, and then by 1774, Russia had they triumphed, that like they'd taken them over. Then there's the Treaty of it has a lot of U's in it that has the 2 dots over it, like Jägermeister does, so I don't know how to say it. Kainarka, they gave Catherine parts of the Black Sea coast and made her, she's now the protector of Crimea. So in 1783, her main dude, Potemkin, annexed Crimea outright for Russia. So her empire is expanding, and she adds about 200,000 square miles of territory during her reign. And then Catherine and Potemkin had the Greek projects where they're going to conquer Constantinople and maybe resurrect the Byzantine Empire, another one that comes up all the time, with her grandson as the new emperor. So in 1787, Potemkin organizes this big Crimean tour for Catherine, and she's like sailing down the Dnieper sea or whatever, and like her big royal barge, which was she had named Cleopatra's Feet. She's got musicians, she's got fireworks. I mean, it's just like she's just on a yacht going to, take Crimea, I guess. And she's got ambassadors with her. She's got Emperor Joseph II of Austria. And also, fun fact, the term Potemkin village comes from this trip.
I wondered about that.
The legend
heard you saying that name.
Yeah, the legend says that Potemkin erected fake portable villages along the route to impress Catherine with how prosperous Crimea was. So he just put a bunch of prefab houses and shit, I guess, up.
I guess that's why the Potemkin village became a name. But it's like, they did that a lot during the Cold War and shit. And they did that and like North Korea does that type of thing where like they have like fake grocery stores and stuff that actually have food in them that people are not allowed to eat. But and then all the real grocery stores are just filled with bugs and dust, and they all starve to death all the time. But when people go on tours and shit, they show them the fake stuff.
It's sort of like
deceptive facades to make it seem as though they hit when really they do not hit.
It's sort of like the Truman Show. You know what I mean? Like, in a way. Historians debate if this was exaggerated, but the truth is Potemkin did pull, all the stops to make Catherine's voyage spectacular. He even, had all the papers or tablets or whatever call her the Prince of Princes for staging this imperial tour. And in the West, she's playing puppet master in Poland because her former lover, Stanislaw Poniatowski, became the king of Poland in 1764, straight from her support and 2.5 million rubles in bribes, of course, which 2.5 million rubles back then had to be a shit ton. I think that's
$8.
I was about to say, I think that's like $1.50 now. Like that ain't shit.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Poland's independence, not to be. Eventually, she teams up with Prussia's King Frederick and Austria's Emperor to carve up the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, this is the infamous partitions of Poland, which ran from 1772 through 1795, which gave Russia the lion's share of all these Polish lands. And she just erased Poland from the map for over a century. She was like, Poland,
don't hit.
That ain't it. Yeah.
Poland ain't it.
And so
people also be fucking with Poland all the time too.
All the time, man.
All the time,
dude, we're so lucky to be where we are. I
know, give it time. But
I know, give it time, and I know that like 9/11 didn't hit, and 9/11
didn't hit. No,
and
we've always said
12/7 didn't hit. But like we mostly. We got to go elsewhere to be fucked with. Like usually because like over there, they just all on top of each other. So if you want to be like, if someone wants to take over us, they got to fly 18 hours and we going to see them coming. But over there, they can just sort of like walk over there and just be like, you us now. You know what I mean? And Hitler stayed doing that shit. He stayed being like, hey, y'all us. And they were like, we don't want to be y'all. And he was like, do you have this many guns? And they were like, no. And they were like, well, fucking Heil Hitler or whatever.
You're right. For most of human history and most places where humans have been, it's been a reality that one day just a big old bunch of other humans you ain't never seen before will just roll into town and rape and murder all of you. Rape your family and kill you in the street and take all your shit and set stuff on fire. And it's like that could just happen at any time.
Yeah.
At any time that could just happen. And Americans, that's never really been shown outside of the Revolutionary War, I guess. But outside of that, ever since we've really been America, we've never had to deal with that.
And not only that, like they do that to you and then you become them. And then now you got to just hold their flag up. And then 50 years later, you forget about all that bullshit and you're just assimilated into their shit. And now you go to war on behalf of them, even though they did it to you and you be doing it to other people. And then you start to be like, no, we respect, it's empire building. What are you talking about?
Yep.
So speaking of empire building, this earned Catherine a lot of street cred and fear among her peers. Voltaire was just like, hey, bitch, you being wild. Because he usually hated war, but he was like pretty cool with her expansion on account of, I guess, A, she hit at it, and B, he was like, this is not the bitch with who to be fucked with.
Mm-hmm.
He once joked that Louis the Ninth's wedding, they killed more people with fireworks than Catherine did taking Crimea. Europe got the message, and Russia was now a great power with Catherine at the helm. And some scandals, of course, happened. Ruling in the way she did and being a woman meant that she attracted, salacious gossip. Her enemies, ex-lovers, churned out rumors portraying her as a nymphomaniac with an insatiable appetite for wiener. Powerful women from Cleopatra to Marie Antoinette, the same thing happened to them. And Catherine was at the top of that list, because again, as I said, it's wild that a woman ever gets to do any of this shit. But if they do, they're definitely going to be a lot of shit's going to be talked. One persistent rumor accused Catherine of commissioning erotic furniture, like tables with dicks on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like phallic legs and like I think like phallic arms that like reportedly she could like,
suck on,
fuck the chair,
suck on her table's dick,
on, fuck on. Yeah.
Well, why
and
not?
The biggest
hell,
of
it's
the
just a
rumors
dildo that
is
also is a chair. Really, it's adding utility. If you're gonna have a dildo anyway,
it's a Sybian.
like, right? Yeah. So except it's like,
why not have it?
But I don't think you just like sit on a Sybian to just read the newspaper or whatever. But this is furniture. This is functional furniture, right? Like you can just have a chair that also, you shove up inside yourself sometimes. But you don't have to. You can just use it as a chair. It's a chair with a dick, better than a chair with no dick. If you're into dicks. I'm just saying.
Couldn't agree more. And you say that it's not like you sit on a Sybian to read the newspaper. And I know that they're not sponsoring us this week, but like yesterday, I read like 3 chapters of a book with my Tushy bidet just full blast in my asshole.
Nice.
Like the whole time. Like didn't turn it off, just had it full blast. And what's the difference? Here's the thing though. This was a rumor that's definitely the worst one. Have you heard of the infamous horse story?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They
You have?
That's not true, right? That's slander. She loved a horse. She fucked a horse and loved a horse.
Yeah. It's been debunked, but like the thing is back then it didn't matter what was true or not. It's what people believed, And according to the 18th century, like equivalent to the National Enquirer or whatever that was, they say that she actually died attempted to fuck a stallion, which is completely false. She didn't do any of this. But this rumor emerged after her death because her enemies were just like, we need to make her look like she didn't hit, I guess, so that we can take back her stuff. So how did she actually die? It was a more unsexy fashion. She died of a stroke in her bathroom in 1796. She collapsed on the commode. So just like Elvis, she just was in there taking a shit, probably thinking about sucking off a horse, and she died. Yeah. But even in her own time, the tabloids, they lampooned her image. A 1791 British etching titled "An Imperial Stride" showed Catherine as a huge giant stepping from Russia to Turkey with 7 tiny monarchs like peeking up her skirt. And the cartoon also has kings looking up at her and saying things like, quote, "What a prodigious expansion," and a sultan gawking, "The whole Turkish army wouldn't satisfy her," implying that she had a big old
pussy. Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, I get it. I
big
get those
old pussy.
cartoons.
So she had a lot of lovers. A ton. She had 12 officially recognized favorites that she sort of ran through, but there was a rumor of over 22 in her lifetime, which, like, dude, honestly, that's not even a lot. Back then, that was a lot, but like, she had like a staff of dudes who she would just kind of be like, I'm trying to get that thicky thick, or his is girthy, his is long. This guy goes that, because like, dude, I'll tell you what, not to be gross, but like, even if you were the most hygienic person back then, going down on a woman in 9 petticoats seems like it would take a strong constitution.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Wieners weren't hitting back then either,
No, dude, wieners have never hit. But women just kind of had to. Women just kind of had to deal with that.
They did.
But
they
that
did
was that was the life of. I hope that was enough information.
Oh yeah.
I hope I didn't go short. Did I go short?
No, you didn't. No,
that was the
perfectly timed it.
that was the life of Catherine the Great. She was very fun to read about. There's probably more I could say, but I think I got the gist of it. Makes me want to watch that show again. I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. And now, this is the first week in a while. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. You got any suggestions? Anything I've been teasing?
I can't think of anything you've teased that you haven't then done. Actually, next week, I think we may have a guest next week, buddy. So you ain't got to worry about it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's right. Then, let's not say it in case it ends up not working out or something.
Yeah, right.
Y'all, it'll just be a surprise for y'all. But we're supposed to have a guest next week, so you ain't even got to worry about it.
That's right. Even more perfect. Well, I do have some airmail if you are interested in that, Trae.
Mm-hmm.
Jay says, this is the subject line, but I have a redneck dad is the equivalent of saying I have a black friend. I don't know about that. What's up, dudes? I've been listening to all the podcasts within the Skewniverse for a bit over a year now, and I've become a big fan. Now, I'm not someone that claims to be a redneck by any means. I'm a stereotypical skater, but you guys are hilarious, and I relate to more than I would have thought. First time my wife heard me listening to you guys, it was on an hour car ride from Green Bay, Wisconsin. She was very confused as to why I was listening to a redneck podcast. I simply said, well, my dad's a redneck, so I get what they're saying. She then hit me with a quick jab saying that's the same thing as a white guy saying, I have black friends, though. When being called out for acting black, just thought of this funny memory and wanted to share it with you guys. Stay classy, gentlemen. Thanks for making me laugh to keep from crying with everything going on in the world. Well, just so you know, Jay, I don't think it's the same thing. I think you're good. You're allowed to enjoy rednecks regardless.
That's what I'm about to say. Yeah, I mean, your wife, she needs to fucking get on board, by the way. What's her damn problem?
Couldn't agree more.
You ain't got to be a redneck to get down. We don't even hardly ever really talk about redneck shit on this show in particular. We just sound the way we do.
Exude it.
Exude it. We do exude it. Yeah, but anyway, no, you don't listen to her. Ash. Don't you ever listen to her again. That's what I say.
Before speaking of exuding stuff, before I get to the next airmail, I've got to say this. I'm not saying it on Well Read because I don't want to hear it from Drew, but this is so goddamn funny to me. So I normally don't check the comments on the Well Read podcast. I try not to, but I had a problem with uploading it last night, so I was worried that it didn't go through. So I went to click on it to check, and there were a couple comments, so I decided to look. And I don't know if you remember, Trae, but yesterday we did Bubba Shot the podcast, and we did Heads Carolina, Tails California, and we got into the idea of emotional abuse, right? You remember this?
I do, and I know where this is going, and I know you said you didn't want to do this on Well Read because you didn't want to hear from Drew, but you're responding to a person that may not even ever hear this. That's what you're about to do, right?
I don't care. I just think
you're about to defend yourself against the. Okay, all right, okay.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not defending. No, okay. I'm not defending myself. I'm just pointing out something that I think was funny. I told a story about the fact that I dated a girl who beat me, right? I told a story about I dated, and you brought it up. You're like, yeah, that girl.
I was about to say, I brought it up, and you were like, you said, you were just like, yeah, I was in a physically abusive relationship. And I was like, that's right, you were. And that was pretty much the extent of it. You didn't It
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
You definitely
brought
did
it up
say
that
it.
I was in a
physical. Yes, you did say
that I was in, and I said she used to punch me in my sleep and physically beat me, right? Well, then later something about emotional abuse got brought up, and I was just fucking kidding. I was just teasing. It's a comedy podcast. And I was like, well, emotional abuse, unlike physical abuse, is sort of subjective. If you punch somebody, that's physical abuse or whatever. And fucking, I scrolled through the comments, and there were people that were like, I'll be honest with you, I love Corey, but I cringed at his opinions on emotional abuse. And then a couple other ones was like, Corey's wrong about emotional abuse. And I just want to say this. Not one of you gave a fuck that I got punched by a woman. Not one of you cared that I was in a physically abusive relationship, which is fucking hilarious to me. Like, I got shit on because I didn't I didn't talk about emotional abuse correctly, but everybody just skated past the fact that I talked about getting my ass beat and no one gave a fuck. So, ladies, I'm just saying, I'm calling you out, okay? You got to give a shit that I got punched in the fucking face, all right? Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Glad we got
Subject line. Subject line. I'm not supposed to read some of this on air, but I can read the other one, so I'm not sure I'm supposed to read the subject line. Corey, I've been meaning to write you all for a while, and when I heard your discussion with Brad Williams that y'all want to visit the Bourbon Trail, I have my excuse to write and unofficially invite you. And then it gets to, please don't read this on air, so I won't. But then now this is okay to read on air. Below is just my fan rant, and it's okay to read on airmail if you want. But please only use my first name, which is Leslie. I've heard y'all talk about getting the big sad occasionally. And as someone similarly afflicted, I know it isn't simply mind over matter, but I wanted to share this story in case I could offer even the slightest bright spot to think about in the dark times. A few years ago, I had a sick booby scare. I assume that's breast cancer, and had to go in for an urgent biopsy. It so happened that the day before the procedure, I had a massage scheduled. For most people, this probably would have been a welcome treat to de-stress, but for me, being alone with my own thoughts for an hour was overwhelmingly scary. When I normally listen to POA episodes as soon as they are released, I save the one from that week to listen to during my massage. And instead of spending the hour planning how I would tell my son I was dying, wow, I actually laughed throughout the whole thing, much to my massage therapist's amusement. Although I did cringe several times and hope that she didn't hear snippets of the out-of-context conversation in your accents leaking from my earbuds, overall, the experience was such a gift. To have those moments of lightness really helped me get through, and as it turned out, everything was fine, except for the $14,000 biopsy bill for a 1-hour outpatient procedure. Seriously, fuck our healthcare system. Heard that. Your talent brings joy to people, and I sincerely thank you for sharing it with the rest of us. That said, I do have a small bone to pick with you. I got the audiobook of Round Here and Over Yonder, and not only did you double down on the insult to Louisville of including Lexington instead of us as the featured Kentucky city, you touted it has the largest city in Kentucky. As a longtime listener, I should know to expect factual errors, but I could not let it stand for the sheer egregiousness of the mistake, with Louisville's population of 622,000 being nearly double that of Lexington's 320,000. Not sure which of you wrote the chapter, but Trae read it, so I blame him. Love y'all like bourbon. Leslie from Louisville. I believe I wrote that, so that's on me. I think
you did. Yeah, we purposefully, some of the chapters that we read, we did write, but we also purposefully mixed it up so that it wasn't a one-to-one thing. So I read some of the chapters he wrote, and he read some of the chapters I wrote. And I do believe that you wrote the Lexington one, yes.
I do believe that, so it makes sense that I was wrong. But I'm just going to blame our editor. But that's also we did that too. Because, and I'm glad we did that. Yeah. Well, I mean, fuck, that's what they're for. We also did that, and I'm really glad that we did, because for some of it, that was the first time I was reading your, like, what you wrote or whatever. So like it came off genuine. Like I was laughing, like I was like really laughing. Like,
I think that was part of the idea.
Like when I read you did New Orleans and you did Oxford, right?
Yep.
Either way, I just remember being in the booth, and like when we did the Liberal Redneck Manifesto, we all read our own parts. And because I'd written it and I was so close to it, like I breezed through it like it was no problem. But like I actually had to do several takes when we did this one, because I was reading your shit and I was like fucking cracking up, and I was like, God damn, this is This is fucking hilarious. Like, we wrote a really good book.
Now it did hit.
Wish everybody else had felt that way.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Did I hit for you?
Huh? Yeah, it hit for me. I think. As we're getting towards the end of this episode here, I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties. I think we got a lag going on.
Oh, no.
So I think, we definitely do.
Fix itself.
That has just confirmed it for me. But I do think we're almost at 2 hours. We got the airmail in, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the plugs. Is what I'm gonna do. I want y'all to come see me.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
Where am I going to be? I'm in Arkansas, and then I'm not even going to. Me and Cho are going to be in Chattanooga. Me and Drew are in Knoxville. Those are both completely sold out, though. So if you ain't got your tickets already, you're shit out of luck. But we'll do it again in the future. And then I'm Oregon after that, and then Houston and a bunch of other places. TraeCrowder.com, where you also can find the link to my special Trash Daddy, which you should watch. And that's it for me.
But get excited, even though those shows are sold out, get excited because when Trae comes to Chattanooga, me and him are going to do at least one in-person Puttin on Airs episode. And I'm going to try real hard to convince Trae to stream with me. So we might get a couple things done. Go to WeLoveCorey.com because by the time this airs, my new podcast will be out. I did a one-off This Week in Southern History on the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Hilarious, I know, but I'm very proud of it. I think it's good. WeLoveCorey.com. It's less than a cup of coffee a month, and it really supports me while I'm not on the road and supports me putting out the best work that I possibly can for you, which I try to do. Also, coming up soon, you can read my new article in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And if you've not read any of them, just go to ajc.com, type in Corey Forrester, and you can see all the articles I've written for him. So do that. Go to Stay Fancy Merch, grab our mugs, our T-shirts, our sweatshirts, listen to Well Read, listen to Weekly Skews, and stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Skew. Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at Puttin on Airs. Puttin on Airs. Puttin on Airs.